Time to declutter all of my face masks. This drawer is full to the brim of different ones. A lot of them are actually from the same brand. I definitely don't need this many. So I'm going to start by clearing everything out and tipping it onto the floor, just so that I can see exactly what I've got.
Your self-care routine might be creating a landfill, not in years, not eventually, I mean right now. Because behind every hydrating sheet mask and every cute little sample hiding in your drawer is a tale of plastic packaging designed to outlive you. And somehow the beauty industry convinces us that wasting more products, trying more formulas, and collecting endless miniature is not harmless but aspirational. Let's talk about it. Today we are talking about the hidden environmental cost of single-use sheet masks and sample size hoarding, the kind of waste that looks tiny individual but becomes massive when multiple across millions of consumers chasing the next skincare obsession. Because the beauty industry has mastered the art of making micro waste feel invisible, a single sheet mask doesn't look destructive. A handful of perfume vial or skincare sample doesn't feel excessive. But these products are specifically designed for short-term use and long-term disposal. Most sheet masks are made from mixed materials that are difficult and sometimes impossible to recycle. The packaging is often multi-layer plastic and aluminum. The masks themselves can contain synthetic fiber that doesn't properly break down. And sample size products, those tiny plastic containers, foil packets and travel size packaging creates disproportional more waste compared to the amount of products inside. But the real issue isn't just the packaging, is the culture surrounding it. We have entered an era where influencers normalize having drawers full of unopened samples, baskets overflowing with sheet masks, an entire mini collection, treated like trophies instead of clutter, variety that has become the product. Overconsumption that has been rebranded as self-care, and the constant pressure to try something new keeps consumers trapped in an endless cycle of buying, testing, discarding, and even repeating. So in this video, we are unpacking how the beauty industry turned disposable products into an aesthetic, and why this tiny waste adds up so fast than people even realize, and how influencer culture helps sustain an environmental problem hidden in plain sight.
Time to declutter all of my face masks. This drawer is full to the brim of different ones. A lot of them are actually from the same brand. I definitely don't need this many. So I'm going to start by clearing everything out and tipping it onto the floor, just so that I can see exactly what I've got. I'm then going to sort them all into piles, which actually took a lot longer than I thought. I definitely have some duplicates in here, so let's sort through them. Starting off with these Barbie ones, I'm definitely keeping these. This bubble mask I'm going to declutter. I hate this, it tickles my skin so badly. It's just not enjoyable at all. I'm keeping all of my marshmallow fluff masks. And I'm going to declutter these tea tree ones. They actually burn my skin. I'm also getting rid of the Dead Sea masks. I just never reach for these ones. These ones are self-heating. I do really enjoy using these in the winter, so I'm going to keep them. All of my charcoal ones I'm going to get rid of. They're just a bit boring in my opinion. I am going to keep these two superfood masks. One is avocado and one is blueberry. I'm not a fan of floral scents, so I'm getting rid of these. And I'm also going to declutter all of these ones as well. I love anything chocolate, so these ones I'm keeping. We've done a good job so far. This is how many I've got left. All of these lip masks I'm going to get rid of. These are just something that I never use. They don't really make much of a difference to me. And then there's a few here that I'm going to declutter. You can probably tell that I prefer sweet scents. So I'm keeping strawberries and cream. And then I'm going to keep some of these coconut cream ones and declutter the rest. I just have too many of these. And last but not least, all of these I'm going to get rid of. Considering I don't actually use face masks that often, believe it or not, I do not need this many. But that's the reason why I've managed to declutter so many of these. And that is how small my collection is now. Let me know in the comments what I should declutter next.
For years, conversation about overconsumption focused on the obvious extremes, those massive PR hauls, overflowing makeup drawers, and influencers buying products faster than they could even use them. But now, the beauty industry has quietly shifted towards something that looks more harmless: micro consumption. Instead of encouraging consumers to buy one giant haul, brands now normalize constant small purchases. I mean, we have the sheet masks, We have the mini perfume, foil pocket, travel size, tester kit, sachet, and subscription samples. Individually, these products seem insignificant. A tiny vial doesn't trigger guilt the same way a full-size unused serum does. A single-use mask feels like a quick act of self-care rather than waste. But this is exactly what makes micro waste so dangerous. The environmental impacts become harder to emotional register because the waste is fragmented into tiny pieces. Consumers don't see overconsumption anymore. They see convenience, affordability, experimentation, and aesthetic self-care ritual. And psychologically, sample culture creates this illusion of responsible spending. I didn't buy a full bottle, it's just mini, it was free, it's only one mask, but multiple across millions of people. These tiny disposable products create a triggering amount of permanent waste for the product that often lasts less than 20 minutes. The beauty industry benefits from this shift because smaller products encourage more frequent purchasing, faster trend cycle, and endless product experimentation. Consumers are no longer attached to finishing products. They are encouraged to constantly rotate through them. So overconsumption doesn't disappear. It becomes, normalized and easier to hide because it is in minis.
This is how many sheet masks I go through in a week. Technically, I go through 21 sheet masks a week, but this is obviously number 20, and then later tonight will be 21, but that's not the point. Now, a lot of people have asked me, hey Young, using sheet masks is like terrible for the environment, don't you know? Yes, I do know, but there's nothing really like a sheet mask out there. The key point for me for using all these sheet masks isn't to radically change my skin with ingredients in these, it's just for purely hydration, people. My skin is always dry, so this solution has worked for me. Now, there are products out there that are similar, like those reusable silicone masks, but then those don't really feel the same for me. Like the issue I have with those silicone masks is like, I feel like I'm sweating underneath that mask, So I feel wet inside, not from the actual products, but I feel wet from my sweat. I recycle, so I guess that makes sheet masking okay, right? Merry skincare.
One of the biggest contradictions in modern beauty culture is that the industry constantly markets itself as being about wellness, self-care, and even sustainability, while simultaneously encouraging habits built on disposability and endless accumulation. Brands has learned that consumers care about the environment, so at least want to feel environmental conscious. So instead of reducing this waste, many companies simply rebrand consumption as a form of ethical self-care. That's why you will see words like clean, mindful, eco-conscious, skin-loving, or even wellness ritual attached to products that are still fundamental single-use plastic. A sheet mask wrapped in parcel packaging suddenly feel luxurious and harmless instead of disposable. A drawer full of tiny, sample visual is framed as curating your beauty experience rather than hoarding non-recyclable clutter. And influencers help reforms this contradiction. So now consumers are constantly exposed to videos romanticizing skincare fridge packed with mini products, self-care night routine using multiple single-use items, giant sample collection, and aesthetic display of products that may never actually get finished. This marketing works because it connects consumption from consequences. The industry sells the emotion of sustainability instead of the reality of it. Consumers are encouraged to believe that buying smaller products, trying some formulas, or participating in trend-driven self-care ritual is somehow low impact, even when it creates far more packaging waste than over time. And ironically, the products are marketed as treat yourself items are focused the least sustainable. We have the single-use mask, the foil packet, the travel minis, tiny applicator, individual wrapped wipes, and disposable beauty tools.
All these samples here, and also here a full box of it, and I figure that if I don't organize them, I'll never use them. I usually just keep the sachets and smaller samples here, and then the bigger ones I'll put it in this tub. I always just hoard the products here. I never really use them. I think some of them have already expired, 2023. My game plan is to categorize them into different skincare categories, like cleansers, serums, and stuff like that, and then also throw out the ones that are expired. I'm done sorting them out, and let me show you. These are the ones that are expired, so I'm gonna chuck them out or maybe apply to my body because it feels kind of wasteful to just throw them out. But some of these expired in 2021. Those definitely I'll chuck them out. And then we have some cleansing products here. These ones are oil cleansers or cleansing balms to remove makeup. And then I have some cleansing foams here and also peeling gels. And then moving on, we have toners and toner pads, wash off masks, and some spot treatments. I don't know like how to categorize these because I have some like micro spot patch, neck cream, and like spot treatments. And then we
Most of the interesting thing about sheet mask culture is how perfectly it represents the influencer economy obsession with variety over usage. Because unlike traditional skincare products that people use constantly over time, sheet masks are designed to be disposable experiences. They exist for just the novelty, for aesthetic, for content, for the feeling of trying something new. And influencers turn that novelty into lifestyle. That's why you see a lot of people on sheet masks taking pictures, making videos, and the rest throughout their morning routine. They are on sheet masks. What started as occasional skincare trend evolved into collecting of dozens, sometimes hundreds of masks, organized by your mood, by ingredients, by aesthetic, the packaging color, spa night themes, and even seasonal routines. The focus stopped being skincare results and start becoming the visual abundance they get from these videos. That's why sheet masks are such a perfect example of influencer-driven waste culture. They create maximum packaging waste for minimum long-term use. A serum bottle lasts maybe months, okay? But a sheet mask creates trash immediately. We have the outer foil packet, the plastic lining, the mask itself, sometimes extra protective, mesh layer, and additional wrapping inside multi-packs. All of that waste for a product used once and discarded within minutes. And social media accumulates the behavior because, platform rewards visible varieties. A creator with one moisturizer isn't interesting, but a creator displaying 50 different marks, 30-minute serums, and endless self-care option creates this aspirational content that keeps audience watching. Influencer culture also normalizes emotional consumption, like which mask fits my vibe tonight, current skincare obsession, mini haul, everything I packed for myself for the weekend. The product become prompts for identity and content creation rather than the necessity. And because these items are small, colorful, and even aesthetic packed, the waste doesn't immediately look harmless. It looks cute, it looks organized, it looks harmless, even relaxing. But when millions of viewers replicate this routine, the cumulative environmental impact become enormous. So sheet masks aren't just skincare products anymore. They are a symbol of how social media transform disposable consumption into entertainment. At the end of the day, the problem isn't just sheet masks or sample viral product themselves. It's the culture that taught consumers to see endless disposable products as normal, aesthetic, or even therapeutic. Because somewhere along the way, self-care stopped being about actually caring for yourself and become heavily tied to constant consumption, more products, more variety, more tiny purchase that feels insignificant on their own, but become overwhelming when multiplied across millions of people. And that's what makes micro waste so dangerous. It hides in plain sight. A single foil pocket doesn't look alarming. One sample doesn't feel excessive. One sheet mask doesn't seem environmental destructive, but drawers full of unused minis, weekly sheet mask ritual, and influencer-driven try everything culture creates a permanent environmental footprint for a moment that lasts less than just an hour. The beauty industry thrives on this disconnect. It profits from consumer believing that smaller products equals smaller consequences. And maybe that's the real issue we need to be questioning, because why has sustainability become an aesthetic instead of a practice? Real self-care probably isn't owning 40 sheet masks you forgot about in the drawer. It's learning how to separate wellness from overconsumption. is using what we already have, recognizing when marketing has turned waste into entertainment. The goal isn't perfection or guilt, it's awareness. Because once you start noticing how much of modern beauty culture is built around this disposable experience, it becomes impossible to unseen, and you start practicing a better self-care, and suddenly that tiny waste doesn't feel tiny to you anymore. So let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think the beauty industry has normalized micro waste to the point where people don't even recognize its overconsumption anymore? What's something you own too many of because social media made it feel harmless? Is it sheet mask? Is it mini perfume? Is it samples or travel size skincare? Because the more we talk about this habit openly, the easier it becomes to recognize how marketing and influencer culture has shaped the way we consume. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for some conversation about overconsumption, influencer culture, beauty marketing, and the hidden psychology behind the products we are constantly told to buy. And remember, sometimes the most wasteful habit isn't the loudest one. They are the tiny disposable routine we stopped questioning. Thank you for watching. I am Blessing, and I will see you in the next video.